I know I wanted to run the world, but people always tell me, small steps.
Honestly, I think you will take over the world. I have faith.
This is Boss Ladies.
Thank you so much for being on Boss Ladies. I'm so excited.
No, Olivia, thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great opportunity, and it's amazing to be your first, not only overall for the year, but also for your YouTube too.
Well, do you mind starting by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your career journey that led to your current role as CEO of Contently?
Definitely. So I, maybe have, a pretty nice, more traditional, but pretty nice success story, because I did come from Hungary as an immigrant. So again, definitely, coming into, to the American dream. And right, part of the privatization during communism or after communism, everybody was super hot on, right? Like, okay, you have to learn English next, like that's the next big one. And I was kind of like, okay, where are you going to be able to do that, right? Where are you going to be able to do that? I also was super interested in business. So the best place, of course, is to come to America and do that, right? Learn English, get into business school, which is exactly what I did. So that was, just amazing, American dream, right? Like you had, land of opportunity, land of, the jobs, and land of dreams, and land of, family, different opportunities in life. So it was super exciting. And again, education is definitely very, very valuable to me. I think it's also how, again, women definitely can progress, in life, but especially in career. So I went also straight from college into my MBA. Definitely just, great time. Definitely, there weren't a lot of women in MBA programs back then. So great, to have that, paved the way in that sense. And lived around in a couple different states, which was also amazing exposure. Again, different style, different culture in different states. And graduating with an MBA, which just gives such great foundation, again, in business. I know I wanted to run the world, but people always tell me, small steps. So it's done by one step at a time. So the different industries I was able to work in, from literally from sports to beauty to definitely got into tech, which is just a great move, right? Got into New York, again, just such diversity and amazing opportunities. And so it kind of evolved overall, but definitely the different cross functions, the different industries, the different interesting sectors and learnings and opportunities is what got me to be able to land in the CEO role eventually.
No, that's amazing, and a very cool story hearing about sort of your background and your motivation, and honestly, I think you will take over the world. I have faith. Small steps, like you said. So one of your many strengths that I have been fortunate enough to learn from firsthand, honestly, is your ability to advocate for yourself and to teach others to do the same. So, I was hoping you could talk to us a little bit about every stage of advocating for oneself, starting with a new job and then once you get the job. So I guess let's start with getting a job. What's the best approach to this, especially now? I mean, so many people are looking for jobs. Where can they start?
Yeah, so I think you and I talked about this, which is just, part of the conversation initially a while back, that it's actually not about a job, right? So advocacy and really understanding yourself, really, having that narrative, having that brand, right? That Olivia brand growth really comes from, right? I don't know if it's too corny, but comes from that self-awareness, that discovery, right? Like what am I really about? What do I really love? Being a lot more purposeful in your approach, including career pathing, including a job search. So it's really starts with almost like a back to basics, right? Like what do you love? What do you value? What are you really interested in? What do you maybe hate but has really good value in a business or out in the market? Maybe again, what are you want to get exposed to? Again, like what are you interested in? So it really starts with that, because only once you really understand and love yourself, then you can start to, again, unpack, have a bigger power, have a bigger impact, and go out into the market. And that, a lot of times, again, you and I talked about this so many times, it comes from that narrative, right? Like, what do you stand for, right? Again, what is the Olivia brand? What is the Pearl brand? Fully understanding yourself, able to articulate that brand. Again, what you bring to the table? What are your contributions? what is going to be your secret superpower that, again, you're able to replicate over and over successfully. And that narrative, again, needs to marinate. It comes across over time, right? It needs to be fluid. It does grow with you as you evolve as a human person, but also as a professional. And so it kind of starts there. Once you have that, I think then definitely, again, I would definitely encourage women, especially. A lot of us either shy away from it, or we don't have the time because everything else and everybody else is a priority. But networking is super critical, right? Building out that support system, that structure, knowing different leaders, different sectors. Again, you get to learn so many insights. So networking is super critical, especially because, also interestingly, less than 1% of people really know what they want to be when they grow up, right? Most people ask, do you really want to get into accounting? Did you really want to be, in advertising? Did you really want to be in SaaS? That's not a natural answer that you get from a 14 or 25-year-old. So again, that self-discovery and that networking really pushes that boundary and pushes that knowledge of, again, what are you exposed to? What kind of innovations? What kind of leaders? What kind of companies and sectors? So I think it's so much about that networking. And that networking, again, being very purposeful, requires time and energy and focus and effort, right? Again, it's all about the learning. What sectors are out there? What industries, right? And sectors and industries for us, right, are like the e-commerce or tech versus what, verticals maybe, right? I definitely hear a lot of power women and women talk about, right, like maybe they are interested in sports, or maybe they're interested in beauty, right? Very specific verticals. Again, what kind of roles and functions are there out there? Many people, again, are interested in role like product, right? A lot of people want to be in it, but then they don't know what that means in the day-to-day. What is the tangible element of responsibility? So it's such a great way for networking to really get exposure, to really discuss, really learn. Really, again, understand what are the cultural or core values of a business, of an organization. That may also make your decision differently of how you think about your, again, networking and your career pathing in jobs. Where will you fit in? Well, will you really thrive? You really need to have that understanding first before you can jump in, right? Again, size of the companies.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I just think about, like, especially what you said before, like when I was growing up, I feel like every day I wanted to be something different. I wanted to do crisis PR, and then I wanted to do this. And it really took time to sort of really figure out what actually I wanted to do. And actually starting this podcast helped that a lot, because as I understood more about podcasting, I became obsessed with it. And, then I was able to start working in the podcasting space. So it's definitely sort of an important point, like you said, to really figure out what your narrative it is and what you're really interested in.
I mean, you look, Olivia, you definitely should consider yourself lucky, because that kind of passion point, again, most people don't have, right? Like they have to find it, they have to search for it, they have to actively, again, participate and engage and lean in. And so again, it's a very purposeful approach versus, yours just like, maybe, came more naturally, or it's more naturally close to you, but most of us have to work at it. Right. So it is definitely important. And again, that's, like it just becomes a, fully understanding or better understanding of who you are, what you really stand for. And networking, I think it's also what definitely super critical to not forget, especially, again, women, especially as we support each other, advocate for each other. Again, friends and allies of women also, again, supporting and advocating for each other, is that we also want to give back to the community, right? So it's not just a gimme, gimme, gimme. It is also a, what can you then, what are you contributing back into that community and network that you already established, or you're building out? Because at the end of the day, again, that part of those connections, introductions, that's your support structure, right? That's who, again, can teach you something. It can, be help in the job search, or again, it helps you. It does, there's peer mentoring and peer coaching that happens. There's just so many good stuff that comes out of networking that you can apply in the day-to-day.
I actually remember a really powerful story you told me, and still to this day, I understand it now in a way I didn't before, but you were telling me about a job you had applied to, and you said that you were still in the application process, but you actually recommended your friend for the job. And I was like, why would you want to add more competition? And you're like, no, we're women. We need to help and support each other. And I think she could be really great for that role. And I thought that was really, really cool and powerful, and, something I want to get better at.
No, I never get this right, but the tides raise all boats, or I'm sure we can look it up later. But that's again, absolutely, because if somebody else is better qualified or somebody has a better fit, like why not, right? It just opens up for the opportunities. Again, you can pull that chair up to the table, and it doesn't hurt any more or better. There's definitely, again, plenty of opportunities where, again, there's just, you're right, that there's a huge blue ocean out there, and there's absolutely, there's a way to wrap our arms around others and, again, really support and help each other. Again, just expands the whole pie for sure. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's say you get the job, you're super excited, you're about to start. How do you make sure you're successful in the job?
Well, again, so hot second step back. I think what's interesting is, again, are you really, as part of the networking, like, did you have the right target list, right? Like, are you looking at companies that where are you going to thrive? Especially, again, is it a culture? Is it, diverse? Is it inclusive? Especially nowadays, right? It's definitely important and critical, but it's also available, right? There's definitely companies who are more supportive, industries where there's more supportive. So it's great to be able to lean into those. But again, you're also welcome to be a pioneer and make your way, right? As a tech CEO, I'm probably one of the very, very few female CEOs in the space. So you definitely can pave the way. But again, identifying the target list, and again, what this companies and roles that you're just going to do the best is I think the very, very step right before. But to your point, once you're getting the job. So I always, joke, although I don't know if anybody enjoys my humor, but the first thing I always do the first day I start is I update my LinkedIn, right? Because now you have your job description, what you were hired to do. That's your perfect fresh time to at least, punch it in. And then, at least that's now, kind of like the next step. You're not gonna forget it, later. It's not gonna be trying to, make sense of it later. So it's such a great kind of like an initial, you actually have a high anyways. It's great to announce it, for the world to see and be able to, again, be really proud. We definitely also, as part of Power Women, we definitely also, again, like, do shout outs, right, when people are starting. So again, it has larger footprint, and showcase, and, just, again, that positive reinforcement back is so amazing to get. But the big one that I definitely recommend, and there's quite a few books out there, there's websites and playbooks and frameworks around this, but your 30-60-90, I think, is super critical. So a 30-60-90 onboarding program is, again, there's books and frameworks out there, but effectively it allows for a very strong onboarding, right? It allows for you setting the stage, you really thinking through, okay, again, here's what I was hired for, what makes sense. It also allows you to box it in. Again, especially women, right? Like, many women want to prove themselves, want to run so fast. But again, the foundations are so critical. Again, being on the same page is critical. Even setting and managing expectations, right? Like, you're not going to be able to save the world in 90 days. Not likely. Doesn't matter how amazing you are.
Unless it's you.
Yeah. But right, it kind of sets anchors you. It sets on the same page with your manager. Again, you're going in so much stronger. Frankly, it's, again, also a great anchoring conversation, because as you're building, I actually recommend doing the 30-60-90 before you start, like, let's say a couple of days before you start, because it's a great reflection and, again, dialogue with your manager of like, no, that's actually not as priority, or something else is more priority, or a meet and greet. There's different allies and different advocates and different partners within that's maybe better to meet earlier than later. Again, what kind of tools should you be, learning to be able to really set yourself up to succeed?
I want to pause for a second on the 30-60-90, just because I remember when I was starting my current job, you asked me if I had a 30-60-90, and I was like, no, I haven't started yet. So my manager is going to give me that when I start, I assume. And you were like, you're going to let your manager determine where you're going to go and how you want to succeed and what you want to accomplish. And I was like, whoa, I never really thought about it that way, right? Like, you reminded me that, like, I'm in the driver's seat and it's up to me to determine where I want to go and what I want to accomplish. So I think that's a really important point that I just wanted to call out again.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely you have the nuance and exactly that drive, that lead, that, yes, it's in your control, right? Like, this is your destiny. This is your homework. Yes, others can definitely, again, provide, rail guards, or, kind of give guidance, but it's that best that you're, putting yourself out there, you're putting your, best foot forward. And again, yes, definitely leading that partnership and conversation and the role itself. Great, excellent point. a little bit else around 30, 60, 90. Again, it also, especially as a female, right, it helps, navigate the culture, right, navigate the organization. Again, who will matter, who will be your, your partner in crime, who will be your, right, like who will be the peer sets. So building that out is almost more important at the beginning than, again, just very tactical, right, elements of the job. Because again, that's also sets you up, for future as well. And again, future roles as well. So that is a lot. Yeah, that is a lot of the 36 to 90, but we can have hours and books on those for sure.
Definitely. So now you're in the job, you've been working on, a cool project, let's say, for a while, you're kind of in the swing of things and you're thinking, it's time, I want to go to the next level. Like, what do you do? And I'm not even at the I want a promotion or a raise stage yet. You're just trying to like level up and really hone in on those skills.
So I think similar to your very poignant, element, it is, again, it's in your control, right? You should be driving it. You should be saying like what that looks like, what do you want, right? What are you interested in? Again, what is the value that you can bring? Now, obviously, or maybe not obviously, it is a very important piece to be really how we're self-reflective, right? Like what will help the business, what will help the team, what will help it grow, right? There's a reason there's a level up happening. It's not just an interest-based approach. So I think that's super important, again, to really, yes, take control of the destiny, really, again, be able to, put yourself out there, but still with the lens of the business, right? Because it still has to come all together. And again, you have to be a value add, right, to the organization at large. I think what's interesting for Level Up is so one of our power women, Trisha Han, who's amazing CEO, she kind of taught me this, like, okay, think of like what will be the end game. Like, again, I want to be a CEO. That's going to be maybe a couple of jobs ahead. If that's the end game, what is that immediate, intermediate step, that level where I need to get to? What are the skills that I need to round out to get to that in the future end game? And so she always think of that and then back into what that level up could potentially look like. What would you need to round that, right, to get to that level? So I think that's such an interesting way to look at it, again, especially as, female leaders, because it's a progression. It's the next phase, next chapter. And again, understanding those tangible skills of actually what that makeup looks like is very, just critical. I think to your point, like, again, have leveling up means it's your homework. Like, you have to do game plan, right? Like, again, what is the opportunity? What are the learnings? What will be the contribution? What is the, progress towards it? I think also as females, we tend to, again, trying to do the typical, okay, I've done it, I achieved it, now we can. I definitely would love to see that, that lean into the, no, you can start to make progress towards it, have milestones, start to, again, make headway, but you don't have to check it off, right? It doesn't have to be fully completed and 100%, we'll be the ball on top. It is, okay, I'm trying to level up. That means I'm still stretching, I'm still developing, I'm still growing. I should be doing things that actually I don't know fully what I'm doing, or again, I need support with, or I need help with, or, education and learning and development. So that's a big part of Level Up. And again, similarly, another power woman, my current CRO, Tu Rodriguez, always says, you don't ask, you don't get, right? So make the ask. The Level Up is a perfect conversation, again, with mentors, with leaders, with managers in the organization, to say, here's what I'm thinking about, here's where I'm trying to go. What will that take? What, can you support me? Yeah. How would we? Right. So it's a very much a partnership. And again, having that ally and advocacy on your side, you can definitely, again, then, can make it happen together.
Yeah, absolutely. So then how do you approach those conversations? Like you feel like you've put in the work and the time, you feel ready for that promotion or that raise. Like, where do you go? How do you approach it? And how do you make sure that, back to the sort of theme of the episode, that you really are advocating for yourself and getting what you deserve, right?
So I think, unfortunately, the answer is you have to have courageous conversations that actually make the ask, right? You have to put yourself out there. You have to be strong. You have to be confident. You have to be assertive. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to come from you, but that support structure can come from peers, right? Can come from other, female mentors and peers and support. It can come from your, friends and family. It can come from, again, leaders and peers and mentors, right? Who can guide your way of like, hey, you actually should be talking to XYZ in the organization. Or again, you can ask, to make the introduction, or getting exposure, to new products, or to new innovations, or to different teams. So you do have to have the courageous time conversation and actually make that ask. So similarly, just like level up to your point, promotion or raise. Again, yes, it is your career. It is your ambition. Um, Sometimes you're lucky, and sometimes, you have a manager and leader who will overlean and do it for you, or really guide you along the way a lot, closer and tighter. But effectively, it is your game to, again, be the leader, be strong, again, put yourself out there, even if it's a vulnerable position. The worst case is a no, right? That is the worst case.
Right.
If somebody says, no, that opportunity is not available, or you're not there yet, or here's what that looks like, and at least you're giving, you're getting signals and guidance of what that is.
And what about like compensation? Like, how do you ask? Do you ask for compensation in a specific number when you're having these conversations? Do you let them give you an offer and you counter it, or how do you manage that?
So as you can imagine, my answer is I always take the reins, control. So so I think, again, making the ask is super important. I definitely am the one who, again, I definitely recommend this, again, especially women, again, do this, do the search, right? Understand what the market value is. Understand what, what is the, within the org, the cultural, acceptance, and signal and, value is. What, you can also ask, like, what does good look like, right? Like, you can see in other orgs who else is getting promoted. What are the values that, again, the company is really, right, giving extra compensation around. And for money, and again, I know in especially in America, it's always a very uncomfortable conversation. I always say, right, like, it is a negotiation, so you do need to be smart about it. I never give my number first. I always want to understand what is the potential. So I always, again, do a ton of research, definitely understand, what my value is, what other, potential competitors, or again, other roles would be paying, or again, the next level. But I definitely, again, part of the sales and negotiations, again, with peers, with other women, with, again, mentors, you can practice and mock, but I definitely kind of, put the question out there, like, what should that compensation look like? Because again, it's kind of like you don't want to, price yourself out. You also don't want to be, right, again, too, not greedy enough. I think women definitely can be more greedy. Again, there's also other school of thoughts, right? Like, you just, put a, amazing, great number out there. Not a bad way to go either. But I tend to ask, what is the potential, and then do the negotiation and, really understand, again, what will it take? Again, a lot of times women also shy away from the negotiation in the sense that, okay, they gave you a number. If I do more, or what will it take, or maybe do it something differently, or different skill set, to actually get to a bigger number, right? That's a great way and path as well. So between those things, I think that's the way to, again, just to actually say the number out loud. Again, the more you say that out loud, the less awkward, the more, comfortable you get to it. Remember, most people don't talk about compensation or negotiate that often, right? So it's not a natural skill that you just use every day. The other thing absolutely for women especially, I highly encourage is compensation is not necessarily salary, right? It could be, it could be, coaching, right? Paying for coaching, or paying for learning and development, or paying for MBA, or paying for, right, for, again, flexible time, or paying for, or equity, right? There's so many elements that's super motivating, very fulfilling, and part of a compensation for women. And overall in business, we definitely want to think about all the pieces that we could definitely tap into beside just the salary increase as well. Although I always advocate, you definitely should get, for every promotion, you should get a raise. We definitely should not shy away from that. But there's so many other pieces that are not, right, non-monetary for sure.
Do you believe, I feel like this is something that I've heard talked about a lot. Like, do you believe you need to be doing the new role first before you get the promotion? Or do you believe that you start that new role once you get that promotion?
Oh yeah, there's like probably like 5 different flavors of this. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I do not again. I do not believe in or at least I don't prescribe to the fact that you have to complete it, right? Because then it's already you're doing
Mhm.
it. I do
Yeah.
believe you need to stretch into it, right, to showcase the
Mhm.
potential, showcase the interest, and frankly, it's even good for you, right? Because again, you're getting exposure to something that maybe again it's not even what you thought it would be, right? So I do think
Yeah.
you need to lean into it. So there's some pathway, but I think it's let's call it a 10 or 20%, not a 80, 100%. Um,
Yeah.
because otherwise, again, it's also the I do believe it is business's responsibility to again also be fair, right, in the business setting, fair in the business setting. And so if
Mhm.
you're already fully doing it, then effectively you are right, like you're already doing that role. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
lean into it. Showcase that you're capable, you're interested. But yeah, not go all the way. Just right, it's a teaser, right? Like you want to be, able to get
Mhm.
them, excited that you'd be such a great, person again to lead this, the professional with all the right potential. But get them on the hook, but not quite, do the full close.
And then, so like, let's say it goes well, you're happy, you get to that. I'm telling a very happy story. I hope it's this happy for everyone. But let's say you do get that promotion and you do get that raise. Now, let's say you get into a role where you're a manager, right? And now you're looking out for people who you're managing. You're also still trying to make sure you're advocating for yourself and focusing on yourself. Like, how do people manage effectively and balance all of that?
My God, Olivia, you'd be like, we can do like hours and hours worth of,
I,
talks just around
I have
these.
so many questions for you. It was very difficult to pick a top or a set of topics. So I
Everything's like
appreciate that
little cliff notes of just every,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think again, number one, especially as a manager, your number one job and only priority is the team, right? They're your everything. I am 100% believer that so long as you have a good team and you're focusing on them and you develop them and you love them and again you grow them, right, the business goes well. And that also means as a manager, you're advocating for your team, right? You're always, stretching them, growing them, developing them, but effectively constantly advocating for them. Because again, the more fulfilled, the more impactful, the more, powerful they are, the better the results for the team, for themselves, but also for the business. Um, I believe for managers, which again, last couple of years, I think we made a lot of headway, and I think women especially are very well positioned for this, is that really good managers have high IQ and high EQ. So again, they're super
Mhm.
smart. They do a great, do a good job. They understand the role. They understand the responsibilities. They understand how to make impact. They know again the actual task and tacticals and responsibilities. They can give explicit guidance, but yet again they also have high emotional intelligence, right? They know how to influence, they know how to collaborate, they know how to create the glue and sinew between teams and within team members. How they understand really well how to press on the right buttons, how to again understand, right, pushing you but not over the edge, right? So that empathetic, that again that right, rallying the troops is super important. And I think again women are very very well positioned. It is a natural trait, I believe, that we can
Mhm.
surface, versus some definitely have to learn it and really be diligent and focused about it. Again, women definitely tend to do also really well with this, which is all for one and one for all, right? Again, rallying the
Mhm.
troops, right, focusing everybody on the same, right, rowing the boat in the same direction. Those are the elements of a manager. One of the things that's maybe not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily work for me 100% of the time, although I still love it and that's how I'm running it, because most of the time it does work really well, is that I also don't manage people as in managing them as a professional. I develop them, I support them, I grow them as a human, right? Because as we both stretch up, we both grow, we both develop, we become better and better human, or maybe just not better, but just more well-rounded. All right, more wisdom, again, more self-reflection, more understanding. It tends to be a lot more fulfilling. It tends to be a lot more,
Mhm.
or a lot deeper than again just a professional, delegation or giving guidance or management. Again, sometimes it can backfire, or sometimes it is you do care too much. But it's just such a great way to, right, just again grow in your overall life, because then the career does take up a lot of our time, energy, and effort. So that approach I definitely enjoy. Again, not it's not for everybody, because it does require a lot of a lot of energy and sweat and effort from you, from a manager, but it is definitely very fulfilling and worthwhile.
I feel like we covered the full cycle. I do have one more question for you that I ask on every episode. I'm always wanting women to, promote themselves and give themselves a shout out. So can you tell me what you feel is one of your best accomplishments or greatest accomplishments?
I mean, I actually feel very, very strongly about this. So I pride myself on the fact that once you completed Pearl Bootcamp, which a lot of people, it's like a mini MBA. And once you're under the Pearl halo, it's like, right, like most of the graduated class, if you will, all of them do really, really well. I feel like, right, like I feel like I have 30,000 kids out there, right, in the world, in the industry, in the market. And I would dare say that most of them are doing really, really well. And I feel, I contributed, I was part of that growth, right? I was part of that next stage for them in professionally, human-wise, career-wise. So I'm super proud of the fact that, again, they're all amazing. They're all doing really well. They're all, again, high IQ, high EQ. And they're just, again, they're expanding this whole world and making it just better, again, in the industry, in the market, and for everybody.
Well, that is amazing. And hopefully everyone got a mini Pearl boot camp throughout this episode. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. This was amazing.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. And again, best of luck for the next, 1,000 of them. And don't forget to network so we can also socialize, spread the love and create a larger footprint.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Boss Ladies. Check back next week for a new episode. Visit us at www.bossladiespodcast.com for more information about the show, or follow us at Boss Ladies Podcast on Instagram. Rate, like, and follow the show on all of your favorite podcast platforms.